I want more for my trade, right?
Right.
Common objection. Salespeople are hearing it every day. Today we're going to talk about how to overcome it and close with confidence. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Grace, and I'm here with David Lowe, the automotive sales coach. And like you said, we're talking today about how do I overcome that trade objection, right?
Yeah.
Pretty powerful and really a common objection that we get. What's one step that we can use that's really going to help us?
So isn't it funny? I think we all want more for our car than the market says it's worth. I think I want more for everything that I own than I can get for, right? Now, the market decides what things are worth. But we all have these attitudes or feelings, don't we, on what things are worth.
That's right.
And we always overvalue the things that we have, right? And so it's not uncommon. Now, we're talking specifically now to automotive salespeople today. Mm-hmm. And our podcast and the episodes are dedicated to seeking excellence in our life. And maybe you don't sell cars, and maybe you think today's podcast is relevant. But I think it is, because we're going to talk about communication, right? Proper communication, empathy and logic, and using stories to help buyers see concepts, to help others see concepts and take action. That's what selling is. Right. Persuade people the merits or benefits of something, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to focus on using this trait, because I bet you every one of us has either said it or heard it, right? I'm not getting enough for my trade. And most salespeople are so unprepared. I just don't get it. Right. They hear it all the time. Okay, so we go into a dealership, and I'll say to the general manager, okay, I want $4,000 more for my trade. How do your salespeople handle that? And typically they say, they get up and talk to a manager. Right. And I say, well, is that what you want them to do? Well, no. Every time they get up, of course, right? So if there's a better plan, would you want them to have it? And there is a better plan. That's what we're going to share with today. This is amazing. When I said the other day to a manager, I want $4,000 more for my trade. What are your salesmen saying? Here's what he said. There's the door. I've never heard that one before. But it's so true.
Right.
That I think salespeople are under the misnomer that their job isn't to help correct their buyers' thinking. All buyers want to pay less than it takes to buy what they want to buy. Right. All buyers that have a trade want more for it than the market says it's worth. And all buyers are always surprised by how big the payment is, right? Three things we know. Now, we're not talking about the other. We're not going to talk about that trade-in. Now, how come they want more? Well, it's always been, if I owe $20,000, guess how much I want for my trade?
At least $20,000.
Okay. If I owe more than the market, I always think my car is worth what I owe. If I owe $1, I never ask for $1. That's one of those things, right? So maybe payoffs drive that, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe shopping around, they see what other people are asking for cars like theirs. Mm-hmm. There's so much information online. People go out online, and there's bad information online. Sometimes they misclassify the car's condition. There's a lot of reasons, but these are feelings. They're emotions, right? I want. And what happens if we can't change the feeling? So we said that our sales process, everything we do, is to help our buyer think differently. We want to think differently about us as salespeople, about buying a car, about pricing, about everything, really. Because if our thinking drives our actions and our actions create results, our buyer's thinking drives their actions.
That's right?
And so we want our buyer to leave here satisfied in they came for a new life. Hi, I've got this life here, and I want this life here, right? I don't want to leave it in the old life. Right. They came to leave that life behind. It's my job to help them find a way to say yes to the life that they want. And we know we're talking about a car as a lifestyle. We know that. We don't sell steel. We sell lifestyles, how that car fits their family, their work, and their play. And so my ability to help them reshape their thinking on their trade is so important.
So important.
If I don't do it, they leave in their old life. They're disappointed.
Happy.
They're not happy. Okay. And now I have to do it in a way, if they say yes, that they feel comfortable with. So much sales training you have out there is really negative, reinforced, and pressure-driven. There's some even new sales trainers that are always, I'd give you more if your car wasn't such crap. Now, they don't say those exact words, but they might as well. Right. It's an attitude thing. Mm-hmm. They're like the 180-pound sixth grader on the playground, right? And what a horrible way to sell and to live and to be treated as a buyer.
Right.
We should be more like a skilled surgeon. Okay, so we have a plan, don't we? We know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We train our salespeople it's going to happen.
That's right.
Don't be surprised. People are going to say, what? I want more from my trade. Right. Some people are testers, some are negotiators. That's a different episode. But today we're going to walk through. And the first thing is, since we know it's a feeling, what's the first thing we do? I want more from my trade.
I totally understand.
Okay. You meet me with what?
Empathy. You
meet a feeling with a what? A feeling, right? Speak to the heart. I know, right? I'm the same way. I think we all want more for our car than the market says it's worth. This keeps our buyer from feeling that they're being singled out or taken advantage of.
That's right.
Right? There's what's called social proof. There's power in numbers, and all of us feel this. Okay, so this is not a episode about empathy. We talk about it over and over and over because it's the number one neglected skill that salespeople.
That's right.
Active listening and empathy, I could probably put side by side, but empathy, the slowing down and absorbing the buyer's fear. Okay. Then we move into logic. We talk to the heart. Now we talk to the mind. Right.
That's right.
Logic. How do we come up with these trade numbers anyway? So in the old days, it was a manager against the customer. And the salesperson played this liaison thing. It was a really crappy game. 80s and 90s, when I started selling, it was part of that. We did it, and it was horrible. I'm so glad we've advanced beyond that. So it's really not the manager that decides anyway. What decides what the car is worth?
The market.
The market. So we tell them the logic story. Mm-hmm. And we tell it in a way. Storytelling is important. Again, this episode is not about storytelling. We'll get to that. We've covered that a little bit. We'll get to that again. So that's why we ask you to follow and like this podcast, because you're going to get valuable sales principles. And by the way, life principles.
That's right.
I think you can equate a lot of these things to just normal life. Empathy and logic can be equated to everything in life. Absorb their feelings and then speak to their logical side.
That's right.
It has to make sense to them.
It has to.
So we tell them how we price, how we came up with the number on the market price for the car came from us doing a market study, right? We call that the computer story. If you're on our dealership playbook, you know the computer story because we use it all the time. Okay. Now, as a part of that computer story, we have this thing called real trade value. And that's what the focus of today is about. And we've got a long way to get to this, right? But we wanted you to know that this doesn't stand on an island by itself. It's a part of that resell reask tool.
That's right.
It's a part of helping the buyer feel better, right? Real trade value. What does it mean? Okay. So we know there's market value.
Yep.
Cash value. Back in the 80s and 90s, you would go to Kelley Blue Book and they would have loan, trade-in, and retail. Loan was cash value. In other words, here's what the bank feel comfortable lending you for this car. Because if you don't pay for it, they could cash out of it. Okay?
Gotcha. Okay.
Cash value, market value, cash out of it. Now, if you go to KBB, they call it instant cash offer. It's still there.
Right.
Instant cash offer. It's amazing, though, people don't realize when they go to KBB, they give you what number do you want on your trade? Well, how come my trade have two values?
Right.
They say, do you want the instant cash value on your car, or do you want the trade-in, which also equates private seller? What? Now, if it's worth trade-in, how come KBB won't write you a check for it?
Right.
Because it's not worth that.
Right.
So we have, throughout time, there's a cash value. In dealership world, we call it ACV, actual cash value, market value. KBB calls it instant cash offer. That's what the market study reveals. So what's the difference between cash and trade value? Aha. So KBB has on it, you want the cash value, what we'll write a check for, or what we're going to tell you should tell dealers you should get for your car. Now, why does KBB exist? To drive traffic.
That's right.
So they could sell information. Why does any website exist? They're not just, hey, this is a consumer service. We're going to go ahead and spend millions on making this website for you just for your benefit. We just want you to be happy. No, they have it there so people come so they can sell from it, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they have to, people got to want to come. And a lot of, there's that old comic that has, convenient lies and the line is really long, and inconvenient truth and the line is really short. People want to be lied to, right? So tell me more. Tell me it's worth more than it is. All right, so we go there and we look at this trade value. What does trade value mean? It's not cash value. They won't write a check for it.
Right.
You know what it represents? An algorithm of maybe what you should get off of the retail price of the car you're buying. So if you're buying a car and you're trading this car, here's what you should get on trade. Now, what if the dealer, though, has already discounted their car?
There we go.
See, there's where the problem exists. That trade-in value is assumed to be off a list price or a retail price, maybe even more than a list price, a retail price. So if you go look at KVB for the retail price on this car, what would it be, right? So we have this difference between cash value and trade value. Trade value is not what you should get in cash, but possibly what you could get when you trade in your car and when you factor in the cash value plus the discounts.
So you're saying it's more than just my old car. There's multiple things to take into consideration.
That's it. So when we talk about real trade value, we want people to know it's not just the cash value. You got to factor in any discounts or what? Incentives you've been given. And if you add those together, you come up with what we might call trade value. Does that make sense?
That does.
So real trade value, or helping our buyers see they're getting more for their car than they think, is not just about the cash value. We want to add in any discounts that we've given them up front, incentives to buy. That's what we might call trade value. But it doesn't end there, does it?
No.
So there's more. When we're saying to the buyer they want more for their trade, they're probably getting more than they think. They're not just getting the market value. They also got the discount, which might equal together like a blue book trade.
There we go.
Now, we're in Indiana. Not all states are this way, but most of them are. There's a tax credit.
That's right.
How does that work?
7% of what my trade-in value is, I get back.
So if it's a $20,000 trade, you have a tax benefit of what? $1,400. So really your trade is $21,400 with the tax credit. In other words, you'd have to sell your car outright for $21,400 in order to equal the same as $20,000 on trade-in. Does that make sense?
It does.
So you've got that cash value plus the discounts, right? That kind of equals what we might call blue book.
Blue book value.
And then we've got this tax savings. Is that all there is?
No.
No. See, if you trade in your car, do you have to wash it, change the tires, put brake? No.
No.
If you resell the car, you're probably going to want to do that or nobody's going to want to buy it.
That's right.
So you put your car online, they're going to tell you, bring it up to speed, or people are going to come look at it and they're not going to buy it. It's just like your house. You got to get it ready for sale. You don't sell it the way you're living in it. You make it better than you're living in it to sell it. You paint the floorboards that you haven't thought about for a long time. But when you look at them through a seller's eye like that, it needs to be. All right. So somebody who has a trade-in, if they were going to sell it to a friend, what would they do?
Right.
They'd typically bring it up to snuff. Tires, brakes, chips, dents, scratches, interior cleaning, stuff like that. So by trading the car in, do they save all that money?
They sure do.
So what if a salesman would say, Grace, I get it. I know how you feel. I always want more for my car, and the market says it's worth. The cool thing is, you know how we came up with the market value. Of course, we use our computer story for that. And Grace, you're getting more than you think. You're not just getting that cash value. Don't forget, online, we gave you that discount. You put those together, that's more like a blue book trade. And then, Grace, by trading your car in, you're saving another blank percent on taxes. Add that together and look how much you're getting. You still get more than that. Because by trading your car in, Grace, you don't have to go through the time, the hassle, or the expense to recondition your car. The dealership now owns it. You just give us the keys and walk away.
Take care of it.
They take it. We spend 2 to 4 cents a mile. That's plus tires and brakes and big items, right? You add all those up together, and you are what? Killing it on your trade. So the next time that you hear, I want more for my trade, I want you to think you're getting more than you think. And now you have got a way to go ahead and take buyers through it. Does that make sense?
It does.
There's one last thing I should note, that manufacturers know the trade cycle of their buyers. That's how they adjust product launches, the leasing terms that they have. Manufacturers are pretty smart, right? They don't know how to sell cars, but they know how to market cars, and they know how to build them. Genius like that. And so to get more people to trade their car now, they often offer incentives. And these incentives, low finance rates or rebates, a lot of that is really designed to make it valuable to trade now.
Right.
Save if you do this now.
Right.
In other words, it's okay if your trade is not what you hope for, because you're also getting this incentive.
That's right.
So as salesmen, as master salesmen, we're not going to focus on one number. We're going to look at the what?
Whole package.
The whole package. And when it comes to the trade-in, we're not just going to talk about the cash value. We're going to talk about the discounts or the adding together the blue book. We're going to talk about tax savings, reconditioning savings, and of course we have the incentives designed to make it easy for you to say, you know what, it's not what I hope to get for my car, but when I add all this up, I'm killing it on my trade.
Right.
Now, by the way, in the dealership playbook, we call what we just did the resell reask, right? A 5-step term, most comfortable negotiating tool on the planet. And we wanted to give you kind of a free look into that today, because I know so many salespeople are facing this, and I feel bad that nobody showed you, here's the door, and let me talk to my manager, the worst things that you can do. By the way, I sold a lot of, my first year selling cars, I wasn't trained. So when somebody said I want more for my trade, I said, let me go talk to my boss. I didn't know. And I sold cars and made money. That doesn't mean I did it right or did it well. When I learned that it's my job to adjust how my buyer feels about their trade number, my sales went up, my income went up, my customers were happier. Everybody was happier.
That's right.
And that's what we're after. Okay, so today's episode, what's it about? You're going to hear objections. Should you be prepared?
Absolutely.
Can you be prepared? Every objection's been heard before.
Right.
And if it's going to happen, don't you owe it to yourself to prepare? So this prepare to win means prepare for the common objections. If you were a football team, you'd be preparing for the blitz, right? You'd be preparing for what you know the defense is going to do. We're salespeople. We know that buyers have price objections. One of them is the trade. And now you're more prepared than you used to be. And that's a benefit of joining the Prepare to Win podcast. So like us and follow us. And I'm David Lowe, the Automotive Sales Coach with Grace LaPoy. And we want to thank you for being with us. We want to tell you good selling and seek excellence this week. Be better today than you were yesterday.